The armor you wore to survive is now the cage keeping you small. Let me tell you what nobody warns you about when it comes to survival, that it stops being a strategy and starts becoming your entire identity. That the armor you strapped on to protect yourself when the world felt dangerous eventually becomes so heavy you forget what your own skin feels like underneath it. That the cape you wore to rescue everyone else, to hold up entire households and communities and careers, starts wrapping around your throat in the middle of the night, choking you while you sleep. I recently sat down with Joy Harriet, a woman whose life is a living testament to what happens when the human spirit flat out refuses to break. Joy Harriet is not just surviving anymore, she is thriving, creating, leading, and completely rewriting the narrative of what it means to rise from the ashes. She is a playwright, a director, a producer, an author, and an academic who transformed her pain into purpose and her trauma into a stage where healing happens out loud in front of witnesses with no apology. And what she shared with me was not just inspiring, it was permission to stop performing strength like it is a one woman Broadway show and start practicing softness like it is the most revolutionary thing you could ever do. Because here is the thing, we have been sold and we have been buying it for generations. We have been taught that strength looks like gritting your teeth until your jaw aches, pushing through until your body gives out, never crying in public, never resting without guilt, never admitting that you are one more crisis away from completely unraveling. But Joy Harriet's story and the stories of women like Maya Angelou and Tarana Burke tell us something radically different. They tell us that real strength is not about how much weight you can carry on your back. It is about knowing when to set it down, walk away, and let someone else pick it up for once. Let me be crystal clear. This is not a conversation about quitting. This is not about waving a white flag or giving up on your dreams or your people or your purpose. This is a conversation about giving yourself permission to be fully, messily, gloriously human, to stop pretending you are made of steel when you are made of flesh and bone and a heart that has been beating overtime for far too long. Joy Harriet's journey began in Atlanta. And if you think this is just another rags to riches tale where someone pulls themselves up by their bootstraps and everything magically works out, you are missing the entire point. This is a woman who faced sexual abuse as a child, who battled substance misuse as a teenager when the world felt too sharp and too loud and too cruel to face sober, who became a mother before she had the chance to figure out who she even was, who found herself homeless, grieving miscarriages that left holes in her heart she did not know how to name, wrestling with an identity that felt like it was constantly being rewritten by trauma she never asked for. And yet, somewhere in the middle of all that chaos, all that pain, all that loss, she made a decision. She decided that her past would not be her prison. She decided that the worst things that ever happened to her would not get to write the final chapter of her story. She sought healing through faith, not the performative kind that looks good on Sunday mornings, but the messy, desperate, on your knees kind that asks hard questions and waits for real answers. She went back to school and earned not one, but two degrees because she understood that education was not just about credentials. It was about reclaiming her voice, her power, her right to take up space in rooms that were never designed for women like her. She wrote her autobiography, Handle It, and turned her lived experience into art that now graces the stages of the Georgia Ensemble Theater, where audiences sit in the dark and see their own pain reflected back at them with dignity and grace. She did not just survive, she transformed. And that transformation did not happen because she was superhuman or because she had some secret formula the rest of us do not have access to. It happened because she was willing to be soft enough to heal. She was willing to let herself be seen. She was willing to admit that she was tired, that she was hurting, that she needed help. Now, I want to pause here because I know some of you are listening and thinking, that is great for her, but my trauma is different. My pain is too deep. My past is too messy. My mistakes are too big. My wounds are too fresh. And to that, I say this with all the love and all the honesty I can muster. Your pain is valid. Your trauma is real. Your scars are proof that you survived something that tried to kill you. And your healing is not just possible, it is waiting for you. It has been waiting for you this entire time. Maya Angelou spent years of her childhood completely mute, totally silent, because the weight of her abuse was so crushing, so suffocating, that her voice literally left her body. Can you imagine that? Being so traumatized that you lose the ability to speak? And yet, she became one of the most celebrated, most quoted, most beloved voices in American literature. She did not heal because her trauma was smaller or easier to manage than yours. She healed because she gave herself permission to speak her truth, to write her pain on the page, to transform her silence into a symphony that still echoes through classrooms and living rooms and hearts all over the world today. Tarana Burke, the founder of the Me Too movement, did not wait until she was healed enough or whole enough or put together enough to start helping other people. She started from the middle of her own mess. She created safe spaces for survivors while she was still surviving. She built a movement that changed the entire world, not because she had it all figured out, not because she had tied her trauma up in a neat little bow with a card that said all better now, but because she refused to let her pain be pointless. She refused to let her suffering be for nothing. And that is the lesson woven through all of these stories. Your trauma does not have to be resolved, packaged, and Instagram ready before you are allowed to move forward. You do not have to wait until you are fixed to start living again. You just have to take the first step. And sometimes that first step is not dramatic. It is not climbing a mountain or launching a business or writing a book. Sometimes that first step is simply admitting out loud to yourself or to one trusted person that you are tired, that you have been strong for too long, that you are ready to try something different. Because here is what Joy Harriet taught me during our conversation. And here's what I want to tattoo on the inside of your eyelids so you see it every time you blink. Faith and self acceptance are not passive. They are not about sitting around waiting for a miracle to fall out of the sky and land in your lap. They are about actively, intentionally, courageously choosing to believe that you are worthy of healing, even when the world has spent years telling you otherwise. They are about looking at yourself in the mirror, scars and stretch marks and mistakes and all, and saying out loud, I am enough. I am worthy. I am allowed to rest. And rest, my friends, is not a reward you earn after you have been productive enough or good enough or selfless enough. Rest is a requirement for survival, real survival, not the kind where you are white knuckling your way through life with a smile plastered on your face while your insides are screaming, but the kind where you are actually living, where you are laughing without forcing it, where you are creating without burning out, where you are soft without apologizing for it. Now, I know the word soft makes some of you deeply uncomfortable. We have been conditioned, especially as Black women, to believe that softness is weakness, that if we let our guard down, even for a single second, everything we have built will crumble, that softness is a luxury we cannot afford. But what if I told you that softness is actually the most radical, most rebellious, most revolutionary thing you could ever do? That in a world that demands you be strong, be tough, be unbreakable, choosing to be soft is an act of defiance. Joy Harriet did not become a successful playwright, director, producer, and author by staying hard. She did it by allowing herself to be vulnerable, by writing her truth even when it was painful, by sharing her story even when it was scary, by letting people see her humanity, her flaws, her journey. And in doing so, she gave other Black women permission to do the same. She gave them permission to take off the cape, to set down the armor, to stop being the strong Black woman who holds everyone else together while she is falling apart behind closed doors. Because that is what we are really talking about here: permission. Permission to stop being the martyr. Permission to say no without guilt. Permission to set boundaries without apology. Permission to rest without explanation. Permission to heal without a timeline. Permission to choose yourself, not out of selfishness, but out of survival, out of reverence for the life you have been given and the body that has carried you this far. And I want to be very, very clear about something. Your past does not define your future. I do not care how messy it was. I do not care how many mistakes you made. I do not care how many times you fell or failed or lost your way. Your past is not a life sentence, it is a chapter. One chapter in a book that you are still writing, and you get to decide what comes next. Joy Harriet could have let her trauma define her. She could have stayed stuck in the pain of her childhood, the chaos of her teenage years, the grief of her losses. But she did not. She chose to see her pain as a starting point, not an ending. She chose to use her story as a foundation for something bigger, something beautiful, something that could help other women see themselves and their own possibilities more clearly. And now she is empowering countless women to do the same. So here's what I want you to take away from this conversation. First, resilience is possible no matter your starting point. It does not matter where you have been or what you have been through or how broken you feel right now. Healing is available to you. Transformation is available to you. Joy is available to you. You just have to be willing to reach for it, even if your hand is shaking. Second, your past does not define your future. You are not the sum of your trauma. You are not the worst thing that ever happened to you. You are not the mistakes you made when you were just trying to survive. You are a whole, complex, beautiful, multifaceted human being who is capable of growth, change, and radical transformation. And you do not need anyone's permission to start over. You do not need to wait for the perfect moment. You just need to decide that you are worth it. Third, faith and self acceptance are powerful tools for growth. Whether your faith is in God, the universe, yourself, your ancestors, or something else entirely, it matters. Believing that you are worthy of healing is the first step towards actually healing. And accepting yourself, flaws and all, is the foundation for everything else. You cannot build a life you love on a foundation of self hatred. It does not work. It never has. Now, I want to leave you with a challenge. And I want you to really sit with this. I want you to ask yourself this question: what role, what mask, what responsibility are you carrying right now that you are no longer willing to carry? So make sure, what cape are you wearing that is choking you? What version of strength are you performing that is actually killing you slowly from the inside out? And then I want you to do something radical. I want you to put it down, not forever, not dramatically, just for a moment, just long enough to remember what it feels like to breathe without the weight of the world pressing down on your shoulders. Just long enough to remember who you were before survival became your full time job. Because here is the truth, and I need you to hear this. You do not have to be strong all the time. You do not have to have it all together. You do not have to be the one who saves everyone else while you are drowning. You are allowed to be soft. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to heal. You are allowed to choose yourself without guilt, without shame, without apology. Joy Harriet's story is living proof that no matter how deep the trauma, no matter how long the struggle, no matter how many times you have fallen, transformation is possible. Maya Angelou's legacy is proof that your voice matters, even if it takes years to find it. Tarana Burke's movement is proof that your pain can become your purpose and your survival can become someone else's lifeline. So take the first step today. Face your pain, pursue your healing, whether it is through faith, education, creativity, therapy, advocacy, community, or something else entirely. Take the step. Reclaim your story. Use it as a foundation for growth and success. And remember, you are not alone. You have never been alone. Transformation is not just possible, it is your birthright. It is waiting for you with open arms. This is your invitation. This is your permission slip. This is your moment. Welcome to your soft girl era. Welcome to the sacred pause. Welcome to the space where you finally choose yourself, not out of burnout, but out of reverence. Welcome to the life you have been too afraid to dream about. Welcome home.